Hello everybody, welcome back. Kicking it outside once again. It's been a long hot summer here so far. Still in July as I record this. Got another special installment for you today of my best ever thrift finds series. It happened again. Actually the very same store where my last one happened. The Funk and Soul and Disco Hall. Went back there again the other day on a Tuesday morning after a long weekend. And found a great haul of kind of early 60s rock and roll, pop, whatever you want to call it. Something I don't see kind of a whole lot shown in the vinyl community, any of that early rock and roll kind of stuff. I think James Griffiths kind of mentioned that in one of the threads that was going around recently, the artists and bands you don't see a whole lot of, and a lot of those early artists fall into that category, but it's a genre I've always had a lot of respect for since I started learning about music and listening to music from other decades. So we'll get right into it. I think there's nothing kind of too crazy here, but just very, very clean copies. Some of these are probably the cleanest copies I have ever seen of these. First up, Around the World with Santo and Johnny. All of these are early 60s, very early 60s. Canadian-American label. I think this is about their fourth album or something like that. Never see Santo and Johnny albums around. I think I have the Sleepwalk 7-inch. Good old Chubby Checker. Let's twist again like we did last summer. Parkway label. And keeping on the twisting tip, twist with the Ventures. I have a ridiculous amount of Ventures albums. When I find clean copies out in the wild, I find it hard to turn them down. Dolton label, just beautiful condition on all these records. You can see it still has a lot of luster and gloss, and vinyl is a little bit of dust, a little odd light scratch here and there, but for 50-year-old records, just immaculate condition. I date with the Everly Brothers. This is one I have already. Doesn't seem to be a really rare one. I've seen it around a few times. Found my copy in a thrift store, I'm sure. Warner Brothers. That's got Kathy's Clown on here. Great set from them. Couple of various artists compilations. This one is All the Hits by All the Stars. Again on the Parkway label. And previously owned by Miss A. Haynes of West 22nd Avenue in Vancouver, BC. A little label on the back there. Parkway label, so you've got Bobby Rydell, Chubby Checker again, Dee Dee Sharp, the Dovells, Bristol Stomp. I've been looking out for that one on the 7-inch single for ages. Never find it. So now I've got it on LP at least. And what else? Yeah, the Orlons on here as well. All the Hits by All the Stars. What else do you need? This is one, actually I have owned this before. I don't have a copy right now. Probably downsized it at some point. But it's a compilation called Teensville. And just look at the shininess of the cover. It's coming apart a little bit at the top, but other than that, it's clean as a whistle. It's on London Liberty. And you got the Ventures again on here with a few tracks. Bobby V, Johnny Burnett, the Fleetwoods, early 60s. Pop and rock and roll. Jan and Dean Take Linda Surfing. You usually see Jan and Dean records pretty beat up. This one is clean, just a little bit of dust that needs to be cleaned off. I love Jan and Dean. Grew up listening to them. They don't get mentioned a whole lot nowadays in the vinyl collecting circles. Another one, Cliff Richard. My first LP by him. On Capitol Rainbow. Living Doll with 14 of Cliff's big hits and his life story on records. Don't see a whole lot of Cliff Richard over here in my neck of the woods, and when you do, they are hammered. But that one is clean. Dwayne Eddy plays Songs of Our Heritage. Two covers on that one. And it is a gatefold as well. My dad always had a few Dwayne Eddy records as a kid, so I pick them up when I see them. If they're clean, that's on a black Jamie label. I won't take it out. And produced by Lee Hazelwood. There he is right there, pre-mustache. Also got Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello. Bobby Rydell's Biggest Hits. This is one I do have, not as good condition as this one though. Cameo label. We got here Wild One, Swingin' School. Those are songs I knew through these kind of 50s and 60s rock and roll compilations my parents bought when I was just growing up, just learning about music. So we had kind of those songs around. Many Sides of Gene Pitney. I think this is one of his very early albums. United Artists. Got his hits, of course, Town Without Pity. And cover of Hello Mary Lou, I guess, on there. Town Without Pity, one of his big ones for sure. These were some of the first ones I picked up out of this haul. I realized I was onto something a bit special, and I'm so happy to find these ones. Dion DiMucci of Dion and the Belmonts, Run Around Sue. I think this is his debut solo one, 1961-ish. Canadian press on the Rio label. Clean as a whistle, as you can see. Title track, of course, one of his classics. Another one by him, Lovers Who Wander. This is one I do have. It's in kind of rough condition. Plays well. It's on the Lorry label. Plays well, but it was out of a dollar bin and in dollar bin condition. This one is immaculate condition. Dion sings his greatest hits. Again on the Lorry label. All these ones are very early 60s from him. I think this one is probably the latest, and this is the last one out of the haul kind of from this spot. Dion by Ruby Baby. I think this is 1963. Mono copy. Columbia 2i. So that was that haul. There was a couple other random finds the same day. Oh, first off, there was a small stack of 7-inch singles. Not a whole lot of interest in there. Kind of country, easy listening and stuff. But I did pick up very clean copies of Chuck Berry on Chess, the infamous My Ding-a-Ling, backed with Johnny B. Good. Very clean copy. This one, The Girl from Ipanema, Getz and Gilberto, Astrid Gilberto on vocals, Gilberto, however you say it. Backed with Blowin' in the Wind by Stan Getz. And the big bad, at least of the 7 inches, Richie Valens, Donna, backed with La Bamba, original Canadian on Apex. Very stoked to find that one. 1959-ish, I think, on that one. And there was a couple of other random finds that same day. This one actually was at the same store as this 60s rock and roll one. Obviously not from the same collection. But a nice copy of Shaft soundtrack. Very nice condition. Have this already. I'll have to check and see if that's an upgrade copy. Switching to a different store, there was a couple of random finds. Wilson Pickett's Greatest Hits. Double LP. Wilson Pickett in his finest threads there. Atlantic, 1973. And last up, this is one I do have already, Deodato 2. Nice copy on CTI label. Just a little cover wear. Other than that, it's pretty good. So that is definitely one of my best ever thrift hauls. Hope you enjoyed, guys. Leave your comments down below, and cheers.